Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Febrina Tampubolon, an English Education Magister Program student of Universitas HKBP Nomensen, Medan, North Sumatra, Indonesia. And I'm thrilled to dedicate this video to my amazing lecturer, Dr. Rosdiana Raja Guguk MPhil. In this video, I'll be diving into the world of test of grammar and usage from J.B. Hinton's renowned book, Writing English Language Test. Let's explore it together and let's get started. We go to the first point. What is testing grammar and usage? Testing grammar and usage refers to the process of evaluating a person's understanding and correct application of grammatical rules and language conventions in writing and speech. So what is the purpose of it? The purpose is to assess how well someone can use proper sentence, word choice, punctuation, and syntax to communicate effectively.
Now we go to the types of testing grammar and usage. The following are some of the most common types of objective items used to test awareness of the grammatical features of the language. Multiple choice items, error recognition items, rearrangement items, completion items, transformation items, items involving the changing of words, broken sentence items, pairing and matching items, combination items, and the last one is addition items. It should always be remembered that such items as the above test the ability to recognize or produce correct forms of language rather than the ability to use language to express meaning, attitude, emotions, etc. Now we go to the first type of testing grammar and usage, multiple choice items. This type of multiple choice item favored by many constructors of grammar test is the incomplete statement type with a choice of 4 or 5 options. This item may be written in any of the following ways. We can see here there are some types in testing grammar and usage that we can use in form of multiple choice items. Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and Type 4. Types 2 and 3 are preferable to 1 because the options do not interrupt the flow of meaning in the sentence. These items present the entire sentence so that it can be read at a glance. And Type 1 confuses the reader because of the long parentheses, or the 4 options occurring between ought not to and me, while Type 4 shows the correct or an incorrect form as part of the sentence in such a way that it cannot be compared on equal terms with the other options. A correct option, for instance, is generally easier to recognize when it appears in the framework of the sentence than as part of a list of distractors. We also have Type 5, Type 6, and Type 7. For Type 5, this type is not recommended since it requires the testees to spend time on unnecessary reading. Not only is it uneconomical, but it does not present the problem. In Type 6, the following method is for testing short answers and responses. And for Type 7, this type requires the students to select the alternative which is true according to the information conveyed in each sentence. And we can see here also the examples of each type. The second type is error recognition multiple choice items. This type is a useful device to test grammar and it still uses the multiple choices format. We can see here there are 2 types, the first type and then the second type. For the first type is each sentence contains 4 words or phrases underlined marked A, B, C, and D. So the students need to select the underlined word or phrase which is incorrect or unacceptable. We can see here the examples. Or we go to the Type 2 where there is a mistake in grammar in each of the following sentences. Write the letter of the part of the sentences in which it occurs. So here, sometimes students are given correct sentences together with the incorrect ones. They are then required to write the letter E if the sentence does not contain any error. But in practice, this method does not work too well since many students tend to regard every sentence as containing an error. Indeed, another argument against this type of item is that it emphasizes the more negative aspects of language learning. It is clearly not sufficient for students simply to recognize sources of error. They ought to be encouraged at all times to concentrate on recognizing and producing the correct forms. This argument is supported also by many psychologists and teachers who hold that it is undesirable for students to be exposed too much to incorrect forms. The third type is rearrangement items. Rearrangement items can be used for sentences as well as for words and phrases. When used for this purpose, such items can offer a means of testing and understanding of connectives and reference devices. Students may be required to write out all the sentences in their correct sequence or simply to put the letters of the various sentences in their correct order. We can see there are some types of rearrangement items test: type 1, type 2, and also type 3. The fourth type is completion items type. Constructed completion items are useful means of testing a student's ability to produce acceptable and appropriate forms of language. They are frequently preferable to multiple choice items since they measure production rather than recognition. So here we can see some examples. The first example is write the correct word in each blank. Or we can see also the second example, put a, the, or some in each blank only when necessary. If you think that no words should be replaced in the blank, put a cross there. Or we can also evaluate the students of testing grammar and usage by using these completion items by providing a context, or by providing a data, or by using multiple choice techniques. And we can see here also some examples of them. Next, we can also see the following are examples of two different types of completion in the context. In example A, the blanks are indicated while example B, sometimes referred to as modified closed passage, the omissions themselves are not indicated. In example A, only one word should be written in each blank, while in example B, one word has been omitted from each line. In this following example, part of sentence has been omitted. Although sentence completion items of this type make concentration on specific grammatical points more difficult, they nevertheless offer a useful way of testing an ability to handle structures according to certain patterns. Whether such items are regarded as tests of grammar or of controlled writing is of minor importance. They demand an ability to use appropriate grammatical forms for a particular purpose in a particular context. And the last example of completion items type is example in dialogues. In the completion of dialogues can also provide a useful way of testing the ability to manipulate the grammar and patterns of the language in context. Again, meaning plays a key role in determining the student's ability to provide satisfactory answers. And we can see here the example of completion items in dialogues. The fifth type of testing grammar and usage is transformation items. This item is extremely useful for testing ability to produce structures in the target language and helps to provide a balance when included in tests containing multiple choice. It is the one objective item type which comes closest to measuring some of the skills tested in composition writing, although transforming sentences is different from producing sentences. We can see here the examples. There are two types. The first one is rewrite each of the following sentences in another way, beginning each new sentences with the words given. Make any changes that are necessary but do not change the general meaning of the sentence. Or we can see the second type is another transformation items, giving some idea of the range of areas that can be covered in this way. We can see here the examples of each type. But in some tests, students may be required to rewrite a sentence beginning with a certain word underlined in the original sentence. And we can see here the example. They believe that the earth was flat. And it can be transformed into the earth was believed to be flat. Or, transformation also can be affected by requiring students to substitute a given verb in a sentence, the new verb necessitating a change in the structural pattern. So we can see here the examples. The next type is items involving the changing of words. This type of item is useful for testing the student's ability to use correct tenses and verb forms. It is a traditional type of test, but the layout is improved in this particular case by providing blanks on the right of the text for completions. We can see here, for the first example is verbs, tenses, or etc. And then the second example or the second type is word building. The seventh type is broken sentences items. This type of item tests the student's ability to write full sentence from a series of words and phrases, and thus does not allow the test writer to concentrate exclusively on testing those particular grammatical features which may have just been practiced in class. When setting this item, make sure that the instructions are very clear and provide one or two examples. In the rubric, students should be instructed to make whatever changes are necessary to form good sentences, adding articles, prepositions, etc. where required, and putting verbs in their correct tense. The eighth type is pairing and matching items. This type of item usually consists of a short conversation. For example, a stimulus in the form of a statement or question followed by a response, often in the form of a statement. It is used to test the ability to select appropriate responses to stimuli which would be presented orally in normal everyday situations. The item is more useful for testing students' sensitivity to appropriacy and their awareness of the functions of language rather than their knowledge of grammar. To perform the task required, students are simply required to write the letter of the correct response in the space provided. And we can see here the examples of pairing and matching items type. We go to the next type, combination and addition items. These objective type items have long been used in past tests. They should be used sparingly, however, as they involve largely mechanical responses on the part of the student. Note that although the separate sentences are linked to one another by theme, the items can hardly be described as being contextualized in any real way. We can see here the number 9 combination items. Here, the students are instructed to join each pair of sentences using the words in brackets. And for addition items, or for the last type of this testing grammar and usage, the students are instructed to insert the word in capitals in the most appropriate place in each sentence. We go to the next point. How can grammar results be used to improve language skills? So there will be two answers. The first one is for the students themselves and for the teachers. For the students themselves, it is for self-reflection and to develop awareness of rules and usage knowledge. While for the teachers, it is to identify strength and weakness of students, monitoring progress, and help the teacher to adapt the way that is suitable to the students. And the last point of this video is, what are the most common challenges students face when taking grammar tests, and how can teachers address these issues? Okay, the first challenge is test anxiety. And the teacher can address this issue by encouraging students' mindset by emphasizing that tests are tools for learning, not only evaluating. The second challenge is lack of context, and the teacher can provide questions with meaningful context. The third challenge is time allocation. Then, the teacher here can provide time allocation based on difficulty level. And then the fourth challenge is limited proficiency in tests. In this part, the students are difficult to understand instructions given in the test. So here, the teacher can use simple and familiar language to be understood by the students. And the last challenge is the students have the fear of making mistake. So here, the teacher can support the students to address this issue. And this point is also the last part of my video today.
That's all my video about testing grammar and usage taken from JP Hitton's book, Writing English Language Test. I would like to say thank you to you guys and especially to my beloved lecturer, Ma'am Dr. Rosdiana Raja Gugup M. Hum. Thanks for watching. See you and goodbye.